What's going on, everyone? This is Joseph with the Cardinal Rule. Number of people asked me what I thought about the Chandler Jones situation, so I thought I'd do a video. This is going to be different than the types of videos you're probably used to from me. I'm calling these TCR quick hits. These aren't the highly edited videos with the graphics and things you're used to, but just more of a quick kind of response to what's going on with the Chandler Jones situation. So as I'm sure you know by now, Chandler Jones has requested a trade. He's not happy with his contract. He wants to be extended. And at this point, it sounds like the Cardinals have not been willing to do that. So in terms of the situation, I think there's a couple things I'd like to look at. Start with, what's the case for extending Jones? And then what's the case for not extending Jones? And then I'll quickly talk about what I think the Cardinals should do in this situation. So the case for extending Jones is he is an elite pass rusher, and the Cardinals, quite simply put, are a better team with him on the roster than they would be with him off the roster. And if you are a team that's trying to win, you need to be in the business of accumulating talented players on your roster. Another point as far as the case for extending Jones is historically pass rushers have shown an ability to stay productive pretty deep into the 30s. Now, there are some players who drop off, but it's not a position like running back where when players hit 30, the treads off the tires. Pass rushers can stay productive pretty deep into their 30s. And many people who are Cardinals fans, feel like the team is or should be in win now mode. So if you're trying to win now, the argument is extend him, keep him happy, and deal with the cap consequences when we get there. Right, cross that bridge when we get there. Now the case against extending Chandler Jones. He is 32 years old, and although pass rushers have shown an ability to stay productive late into the 30s, there are some who drop off or their production declines, and even those who do stay productive late into their 30s aren't always as productive as they were earlier in their career. And we also have to remember, he is coming off a major injury. And if you look back, he wasn't actually playing particularly well before he got injured. He only had one sack in the 4.5 games that he played. Now, sacks are kind of, hit or miss and sporadic. And, sometimes players go on a 3-4 sack, kind of a streak, hit 3 or 4 sacks in a game. So it's not impossible he could have still had a really good year. That doesn't necessarily mean, the tires were falling off the car. But he wasn't playing well before the injury, and then he got injured, and now he's returning from an injury. So the question is, do you want to invest heavily in a player who's coming off an injury and wasn't playing well before he got injured? Another point as far as the case against extending Chandler Jones. A lot of the analytics and folks in the analytics community have really started to look at this relationship between pass rush and coverage and looking at the kinds of things that are most important for having an effective defense. And the conventional thinking right now with a lot of the folks in the analytics community is actually that coverage is more important than pass rush. Going with that also is teams can manufacture pass rush, they can scheme it, but you can't really scheme coverage. You need good coverage corners and safeties who can cover. So the way that a lot of teams build, and that teams that I think personally do a really good job of roster building, involves investing draft capital and salary cap into coverage players, cornerbacks and such, and then drafting pass rushers in the middle rounds, developing them, and when it comes time to pay them a big contract, let them walk, get compensatory picks. In some of my videos, I've talked about how the Baltimore Ravens do that. So I think, there is this argument that the money that the Cardinals would pay Chandler Jones might be better served paying to upgrade cornerback in the upcoming offseason, and then try to scheme pass rush. And, Vance Joseph does a pretty good job of doing that, as we've seen. and try to develop pass rushers that they draft late in the round or late in the draft, like Victor Dimukeje, and try to scheme up that pass rush. So that's part of the argument against it. Now, in terms of what I think the Cardinals should do, in my opinion, and again, this is based on the things that I look at in terms of roster building and the way I approach it, and I know not everyone's going to agree with me, I would not extend him. I would not sign him to a big contract with multiple years at this point. If they can wait it out and he will play this season, if he'll report and play, even if he intends to walk at the end of the season, I would try to win this year with him, and I would go ahead and try to get through this season with him on the roster. Yes, you're not going to get anything for him, but if you're trying to win right now, you want him on the roster. If he won't report, if he's not willing to play, I would then try to trade him, try to get some sort of assets, draft capital or young players or something. But the one thing I wouldn't do is sign him to a long-term big extension at this point. I know, again, people might disagree with me, and that's okay. In terms of the way I feel a team should build rosters, though, I don't think it would be smart for the Cardinals to invest a lot of money in a 32-year-old pass rusher, especially when they're going to have to extend Kyler Murray sometime in the not-too-distant future. So anyway, that's my thoughts. If you have any thoughts on the Chandler Jones situation, please put that in the comments below. Let me know what you think. But thanks for watching. And if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, please consider subscribing to my channel. I do Arizona Cardinals content. And we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.